Mac is back. Today we're going to do some Siege of Winterfell. I'm going to put my lineups together and just kind of show you what I do. Maybe it helps you, maybe it doesn't, but hopefully it does. Hopefully get a kind of some insight if you have certain commanders, or you know, kind of how you want to play the game and try to be as strong as you can, you know, the best way you can. I'll just kind of go over what I do, and let's get to it. First and foremost, you got to pick one of your troop types. This is what I recommend, picking one of your troop types for your talents, because it's all going to go on your lord. And in this instance, I'm going with pure spear, so that's going to be my strongest strongest you know, troops to use. So you want to buff up your army, your defense here, all your spear attack, leave cav alone. You can see I had leftover talent points. I put them in my infantry. In case I want to go that route, but probably not. We're going to stick with the spear here, and then obviously here's more defense and health, and at the very beginning is that total attack again. You go on your lord and make sure that all your each one of your equipment is spear related, at least buffing it in some sort, and then also obviously your badges as well. As you can see, they're all my spear badge on there, and then change your lord to someone that's going to be in your formation. In this instance, I do have Dany blue, so I'm going to use her, although even her blue quality doesn't really matter much. It's more her just her skill that's going to be what I'll be using. Make sure that you change over your castle skin. I had one left over that I had put on the City of Stars for KVK, so I still have a couple days left with that. And then change your marching animation. Don't forget to add total attack on there. Don't use an army size buff. It does not work in this event. And then from there, obviously make sure that you're bubbled. Right now we are in a time of war in our kingdom, so I'm not going to be able to, I'm not going to, I guess I could, but I'm not going to grab a lord. It's best if you do grab a lord, because I'm going to lose out on this pretty significantly. So if you go to your dungeon and you go to the normal here and you scroll down, you see if I have a 60 lord in there, I get an extra 30% total attack. So I'm going to be losing out on that, which is pretty massive buff, but it's really not worth it for them to, you know, try to attack me very quickly. Although I would go in the event and be bubbled up fairly quickly. So, I don't think I'm going to do that. And plus, I think most of our lords are actually gone as well. And so, as you can see, the war that has gone on here. This guy Chris, who's the king of our beloved kingdom, has just began attacking everybody in our alliance. No real reason for it, but just maybe a short temper, I don't know. But regardless, it's going to be tough. You can see that they're attacking nodes or trying to do whatever they want to do, I guess. So I'm just going to leave it, and let's just go in here. What you want to make sure that you do is you're grabbing all of your tier 4s if you have them, except for your bows, of course. You really don't want those. I have lost a lot of troops since KVK. I had almost 1 million of these tier 4s, but I just lost a lot in there. A couple of bad moves by myself, which I will show you in another video, if you've already seen that video possibly. But then throw in some of your tier 3s too, and just try to keep it, I would say keep it as even as you can, but since I'm going mostly bow here, or I'm sorry, I'm going mostly spear, I'm going to do a lot more. I want to put a lot more spear in there than I do the other ones. So I'm probably just going to do this. Let me just throw all my spear in there. There we go. I think that's probably best, because then when even I get low with healing or anything like that, I can just throw in the tier 3s, but they'll still be buffed more than the rest of these troops are. So and my march isn't high enough, I don't believe, even with commanders, to go over these. So I still should get full marches. If not, it's not a bad idea to actually train more troops if you have some speed ups to be able to do so. So we did that. We make sure everything was changed over. You know, just take a second to think about having, you know, did you change your castle skin? Did you add the 20% you know, attack buff and everything? Just to make sure that you put everything together, because you don't want to go in there and not be able to play well. So then I'm going to enter battle, and it's going to take us in. And now we're here, and this is where you want to put your troops together. So we're going to start with my spear troop, and what I had said before, we're going to go with Daenerys. If I can find her here, there she is. So she'll be the main one, and the reason is because of that skill that she has. And for the second one, I'm going to put Annie in there. She is fantastic as well. I don't know if I already passed her, maybe. I guess I did. And then Annie is really good because of her skill. She has that, you know, the tranquility, which grants immunity, and she's a healing coefficient too, which does a little bit as well. I normally, if I had Jamie Gold here, that would be a good one to put in there, but I only have him purple, so I lose a lot of stats. I lose the health, spear defense, and the total attack are a lot lower than they normally would be. So I'm going to opt to skip that and go to Hector, because Hector has a 200% defense, 200% attack, and then they have a health reduction, plus his ability is actually not bad as well, so I'll throw him in there. And y'all remember over here you can actually purchase them too. I have ones over here that you can use. So if you want to, you like use 2 black diamonds, you could grab Annie at a lower level, which wouldn't be too bad either. Even Miranda's not bad, but her, you probably want a little better ability, in my opinion. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to confirm that, and then increase my march as high as I can with that. The downfall of Dany is she's not awakened yet, so you lose some of that march. Like here, even with Hector, I only get 15, but with Annie, at least I get 21,000 here. So we're at 704. So then we just march. Well, actually, we're going to save it. So go up here, you click on that. It brings up this box, this save pre-edit formations, and you click on there, and then there you go. It's saved. So the next time I come in here, I just press 1, and it'll pop it right out very quickly. Then I press March, and you're good to go there. And then the second one is going to be the infantry one. And for my infantry one, I think, see, I don't have Sonara or Andrea Gold, and those would be the 2 that you would want. And here's Andrea. I only have blue. Even the other one, I don't have that as well. So those 2, even Sonara blue. So they just don't give enough stats, enough buffing. You can see 30% defense, 30% health, and total attack. It's just not good enough. So I'm going to go with Chris as my. It's almost like a free to play in a sense, because he is free to play, but he's the one I'm going to do first. And then I'm going to do Feast, wherever he is. I think he was down at the bottom somewhere. Did I pass him? No, he's down at the bottom here. There he is. Another good one to put in there. Another free to play. And then either here Barrett or Simon. Simon, he's a bow commander, but he's really good at healing. So that's where he would come in. So I'm thinking about doing that as another heal. Just because, and his quality doesn't matter, again, because he does help with, gosh, where is he? Is he even here? Thought he was. And then because I don't have him that high either. There he is. And you can see his ability here is a coefficient healing of 750, which is even higher than what Annie is. So it's really good. And plus a little bit of total attack on there, so that's nice as well. You just need a lot more buff for that. Infantry, and that's what Feast does. He has defense and he has attack, and so does Chris, has the health and attack. So there's both of those are buffing, and then here would be the healing. So I think I'm going to go with that this time and just kind of see what happens. So confirm that, and then we want to make sure you don't put any spear in there. We're putting all, well, we won't put cav either. Put all your infantry in there, and then again click up here, make it your second one, and then march it out. And then we're going to try one more. And I typically go with Cav in this one. I wonder if I don't know how many spear I'd actually have even here. Say, well, I wouldn't even have enough spear to do it, but I could buff these spear a lot more, and then I could even throw, because they're still slow, I could throw something else in there as well, like infantry or something else. So I'm gonna try this for actually the first one, and then when I come back, I can always go back to a Cav march if I want to. So for this one, I'm going to put another spear march in there, and I think what I might do this time, let's see who we have. So we have Garel, which I really don't like too much. So I think even Julian's not that great. We've talked about, I think we've talked about this before. If maybe you've seen it in other videos. So then there's Arslan, who's he's not bad. He buffs a lot too. And Miranda actually does a good buff on the entirety of it. I might put in her last as just a nice buff, and I actually might put Jamie first just for his ability. I think that's what I'm going to do, because he has a good ability, but I lose stats with him is the only problem. And I don't even know. Maybe Patela. Because he does a spear attack as well for 200%, which is pretty good, and then he has some health in as well. But he doesn't have his ability isn't that great. He has a little bit of a heal. So, but I think I'll do that because if his stats are still pretty good. And then I think I'm gonna go with not 100% sure on this one. So that's why it's always good to experiment, and that's what I'm gonna do this time, I think, because I like Miranda and all her. She's 150 all spear stats, even though her increases defense and health. So I mean that's not bad there. So that's maybe who I'll go with. Arslan, his ability 700%, and reduces the target's rage, and also increases the attack of your spearman by 150%. Yeah, that's okay. And Julian's, like I said, he doesn't do anything crazy. 1400% target, increase the troop attack, and then it grants the nightmare status, so you lose in that one. And then Garel is 200%. Yeah, okay, so that's very specific. I'm not sure I like that either. So I think I'm going to go with this this march here. So confirm that, and you can see here that I'm already maxed at 641 spear. So I'm probably just going to throw something else in there to help that out. So I guess the counter to spear is infantry. So we're going to throw some. I think we'll just throw some cav in there, some row cav, and that way it'll be they'll be in there together. So if I get attacked by, the problem is if I get attacked by spear. Well, it'll just be kind of neutral there. So I think we'll do that. We'll put it as a third, and we'll march it out and just kind of see what happens. So I'll try to throw some highlights in here if I can remember to do so. But I will report back and see how these have gone at the very end, and just kind of let you know what is happening. So after the match, I wasn't able to get any video from the match itself. It was a pretty intense match, and we ended up winning. But it took us a while, so I didn't have time to kind of record too much of it. But what I did notice, and just looking at some of the reports, at the very end I was just throwing my cav in here, as you can see, just for the kind of troops I had left over. But what I did notice, and something that I did like, and let me see if I can go down here a little bit further, is when I was using that. So this setup worked really well. The bows are still like just so OP right now. I mean, as you can see right here, they take a lot of damage, but they also dish it out too. So like if you have a pure bow march and you're able to put a decent amount of troops in there, it's actually really, really good if you can buff them as well. But something I did notice is that if you have a dual march and you throw in and you put in there even tier 3 troops, because you have them buffed, they actually last quite a long time. If they get countered, of course, then you're obviously in trouble, because you're not going to be able to do as much damage. But what I did notice is I put in 2 of the spear marches and 1 infantry march, and the infantry march did not last very long, because clearly it wasn't buffed as much as the spear was. So I would recommend even doing if you could do a pure spear march, all 3 of them if you can, but you have to have that many troops, of course, so that can be difficult because you only get 3 million, and if you have 3 million tier 4 of that you're a pretty big whale at that point. But if you use tier 3 as well, if you have a lot of those, I think that's actually not a bad idea. Clearly you want to use your tier 4s because of the power that they have compared to the tier 3s, but I think that the tier 3s actually do a decent amount of damage and will last a decent amount of time too. I mean, you can look right here, and I'm not gonna, the stats are different, but these are my spears going into an infantry march, and they're doing a massive amount of damage. I mean, obviously a 687 march compared to a 343, it's twice as big, but still that damage is still cut in half of what they're doing, and that's a total annihilation right there. That's really good. And there's this same one here. This is even pretty good too. That's without any buffs. Where's the other? Here it is, right here. So there's another one that using the Jamie as the going into calves. It wasn't as much as good there. What you would think it would be a lot better, just because of having more troops and then going into a cav. But clearly that didn't work. There must have been a pretty good buff here, actually a pretty strong player, a 5,300 combat rate, so that's actually probably good as well. But yeah, I kind of think that that's the way to go. If you can't go bows, buff 1 troop type and try to get as many of them in there as you can. That seems to work out pretty well. it's kind of what I'm going to start doing now, and just try to obviously increase my commanders, like the quality of them. For instance, Jamie here needs to be gold. I'm working on him slowly, so getting him gold will actually help significantly for a second march. It's good to have Patello in there just because he'll do some healing as well. It's nice to have at least one healer in your march, just because it'll help you quite a bit. Like Annie is a good healer here to and also buffing as well. So it's nice to have her along with Danny in there, and then Hector has a nice stat boost too. So it really makes this march makes a pretty good march. So hopefully this helped you all, and until next time, Mac out.